This film is mainly for people who live in the UK, and really like you to pass this on to people who might be having difficult times financially. Got some interesting information for you. Now, on Friday I was in court. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, just to make sure you're a bit curious and keep watching the films. But I was in court for a certain matter, and it started at 10 o'clock, and I went into the court, and the court was quite full of people in suits, men in suits, and they were requesting warrants. And I think this is quite common in courts, and it's well worth going, if you're in the UK, going to courts, getting there at the beginning and watching this, because very few people witness what goes on in these courts, especially at that time. And you might think it's boring, but it actually was quite interesting. And I'm just going to tell you about one of them. And what happened was, there was a guy gets into the dock. He swears, "I'm going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth," which always makes me suspicious, because that's not possible. And he then proceeded to tell the judge that he was seeking 18 warrants to break into people's houses. Obviously he didn't say that. So on behalf of an electricity company, he claimed it was worth 14 residential and 4 businesses. He claimed that none of them had financial difficulties, and that what he was going to do, or his company were going to do, is to go into these people's houses. He's not going to cut them off, their electricity supply off, of course, because he's not allowed to. But instead, the company are going to install meters that you pay cash with. So the judge asked him, "Are there any disputes? Any of these cases, are they disputed?" And he said no. They're just basically people who haven't paid their bills and haven't responded to the mail that they've been sent at all. So she said, "So they don't have any financial difficulties?" And he said no, and she granted him the warrants. So my point about this is that I'm very suspicious of this. Firstly, there's obviously a real possibility that he's not telling the truth, and in fact that some of these people have actually disputed it or got back to them. That's number one. Number two, the other possibility is that it could be that all of them really didn't get back to him, or didn't get back to the company. But even that is a kind of abuse, because these people, some of them, I would think, are probably so frightened they just don't know what to do. They just ignore it because they're in fear and don't know what to do. So this video is about possible actions that people who are struggling with their bills can take, that they may not know about. And I know that I'm not the first person to do this, but I think it would be useful for people to know this information. So the first thing is, if you are struggling with your electricity bill, as far as I know, and this is not legal advice, this is just some ideas as far as I know. Please don't take this as legal advice, you have to look this up yourself. I think you can go on the web and check up the Citizens Advice Bureau. You can contact your electricity company and say to them that you're struggling, and offer them a small monthly payment, whatever you can afford, and negotiate with them. But once you've already discussed things with them, or you can dispute, a lot of people are also in dispute. Sometimes electricity companies do all sorts of things, and people are in dispute with them. But either way, as long as you're in communication with your company and you're trying to sort it out, then they can't just go to the court and get a warrant to change it over to metered access, to metered electricity, with cash. So that's the first thing. Now, the second idea is that if you've already been broken into, and your property's already been broken into, and they've changed it over to metered, to a meter with cash, and you had previously were in dispute with them, or previously you were, you'd been in contact with them and suggested that you can't pay, or whatever it is. If you can prove that you're in contact with them, then somebody might want to set up a Facebook group that eventually can create a class action against these electricity companies for falsehood and lying in court, because they will all have, in order to get a warrant, they will all have had to tell the judge that there was no dispute and there was no reason to believe that any of these people or businesses were in financial difficulties. So please spread this message wide. This is what's going on in the courts. People should go and witness this sort of thing, and people should contact their electricity companies if they are having difficulties and negotiate a small monthly payment if they're having trouble with their payments. Please pass this around. Have a great day, and don't forget, none of this is real.